My name is Phil Klotz, torpedoman's mate, second class. I was on the ship from November of 1950 to December of 1953. And when I turned 17 in high school, two buddies and I went down to the Olathe Naval Air Station and joined the Navy Reserves. And on weekends we would go down and fly with the pilots that needed to maintain their flying hours. And we went on a cruise up to Bemidji, Minnesota, and it didn't take long for me to decide that I wanted to go on active duty. I talked to our Navy recruiter, and he set it up so I could join the regular Navy, and I got my reserve discharge one day and my enlisted the same day. When I got out of boot camp, I was the only one in my boot camp company that got an assignment, and I was fortunate enough to get on the Orleck. At that time, she had just come out of dry dock, and you either went in the deck force or the engineering department, and I chose the deck force. My first job was working over the side, scraping and painting the side of the ship, and had a chief torpedoman yell at me for my name, and I gave it to him, and he said, "We want you in the torpedo gang." And I had other plans, but anyway, one day he told me, he leaned over and he yelled my name, and he said, "You're in the torpedo gang, so tomorrow after muster, instead of coming here, report to the torpedo shack," which really worked out well for me. When we got underway from San Francisco to go down to San Diego, I was a helmsman under instruction with another torpedoman, and by the time we left to go overseas, I was standing helm watches by myself at 17 years old. The things I remember, when we were in Yokosuka Harbor, Russians brought a bunch of LSTs that they had from the Lend-Lease program. They brought them in the harbor, dropped an anchor, and then they left. And there must have been a dozen LSTs just floating there. Another incident was the night we got our first train. I didn't have a pair of binoculars, but I was fortunate enough, my general quarters station at that time was on the torpedo director on the starboard side of the bridge, and was able to use the sight on that to see all the box cars, flat cars with tanks on them, and artillery pieces, and see all of the explosions from the ammunition that was being expended. A little later, I happened to be absent over Liberty, and was put on report and found out that they posted the promotion list that day, and I was on the list to be third class. When we went to captain's mast, there was probably 14 of us lined up on the torpedo deck, and the man in front of me really infuriated the captain. And when I got up there, he looked at me and he said, "Now what the hell am I going to do with you?" And I didn't answer him, and he yelled it. He said it again, and I told him that the man I was with got a summary court-martial, and he wanted to know who that was. And he told him, and he looked him up, and he said, "Well, he's been in trouble before." He said, "You've never been in trouble?" And I said, "No." He said, "Talk to me a little bit," and he said, "I see you're on the list for promotion. Do you expect to be promoted?" And I said, "No, sir." And talked a little bit more, and he said, "Son, the only thing you have in this world is your word. Do I have your word that you will never be up here again?" And I said, "Yes, sir, Captain, you have my word." And he said, "I can only give you 14 days restriction, but I'm going to give you 14 liberty restrictions." At the time when we were in port, we had port and starboard liberty, which is every other day. And I went through the ship log, and if I had Liberty the first day we came in port, I figured I was on the ship 93 days before I got Liberty. But he let me have third class, and he said, son, I'm going to take you at your word. And if I'm going to give you my word, if I do see you up here again, your ass is going to belong to me. That's my story.